Hello, YouTube fam. Today I have something so exciting to share with you. This is actually a follow-up from a previous video that I did where I talked about seeing the light when I went to the Dispenza retreat a couple of years ago. And the other day I was meditating and it just came to me that I should do a video to talk about the technique that I used. And if you've already watched that video, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, it was literally the most transcendental experience that I've ever had. And it changed everything for me. The moment that I saw this light during meditation, it changed the whole meditation game for me. My spirituality level just rose through the roof. I started getting visions. I started getting all these crazy energetic sensations in my body that I had never experienced before. I felt all this love and all this joy and amazement for the world and for myself. So what I want to do with this video specifically is deep dive on the technique that I used, because I realized in the previous video, it was more about sharing everything that I experienced at the retreat and then after the retreat. So today I want to deep dive on the technique itself and every single thing that I saw leading up to the light, because I didn't just see the light, I saw a bunch of interesting geometric patterns, and I even have visuals for that so that I can be as clear as possible. And then I want to show you how you can do it too. And actually the point of this video is also to try it as an experiment, because I'm really curious to know how many of you out there see the exact same thing that I did, or if not, what do you see? Because I tried it with a couple people and they told me that they saw some stuff. So I really encourage you to try this too, because not only would it be super interesting to see what everybody else is experiencing, but it can potentially bring to you the same transformation, like the same massive transformation that it did for me. And I think that's the ultimate goal. Before we dive in, hello, my name is Talia, and on this channel, I share spiritual teachings on how you can transcend into new levels of consciousness. And the ultimate goal is to help you raise your self-worth and live a more authentic life. So if that sounds interesting to you, don't forget to subscribe and please give this video a like. Now, I'm going to start by giving a little bit of a recap of that one meditation that shifted everything for me. Basically, I went to Joe Dispenza's week-long advanced retreat in late 2022, and I was not really a very experienced meditator when I went. I had done Headspace, like 20 minutes max, but I had always been interested in all the spirituality stuff. By then, I had done my 200-hour Hatha Yoga teacher training, so I definitely had a lot of knowledge, but I had never sat down for really long meditations. So at Joe Dispenza's retreat, we're pretty much forced to do that. That's the only thing you do. So I had this one meditation, which was about the fourth day, where I basically decided to do something different while I was meditating, because I always had this pain when I would sit down for too long. And I think as a lot of us do, we try to avoid pain. We always try to avoid the things that make us uncomfortable. Pain, emotions that we don't like, or cold, time. I never liked meditating for too long because I would get bored and I have stuff to do. We all have stuff to do. So this retreat kind of makes you face all these different things, because you have to sit down for a really long time. You have to be in the cold because it gets really cold in there in that conference room. And yeah, you have to deal with the pain of sitting down, because all I have is chairs and I don't even like to meditate on chairs, so I have to sit on the floor. So anyway, what I did basically was, instead of moving when I was feeling the pain, I decided to observe it. And when I decided to observe it, that is when something shifted within me. If you're experienced with meditation, you know that a lot of the times our hands move by themselves, our body moves, sometimes we cough, weird stuff starts to happen. And what's happened is that your body is starting to release stored emotions. So I wasn't surprised when I noticed my hands moving by themselves. This had happened before. The very first time it happened was when I was doing these breathing exercises that all of a sudden started triggering my hands to move by themselves. And I was like, whoa, I did not want to lift my hands. But anyway, so I might talk about that in a different video, but I wasn't surprised once my hands started moving by themselves. But this time, for the first time ever, they went like this. And So I just very lightly pressed on my eyeballs. And the minute I did that, I started seeing this light. First, it's like the shadow of my eyes that I can see, like, I know, some darkness there. And then immediately after that, what I see is like, it's like thunder. It's thunder that is starting to form. So it's blackness and then these like rays of light. And then the next thing I see is little black and white squares that are starting to get kind of trippy, like it's like spirals, kind of like optical illusion style. So these are some visuals that I grabbed that I felt most closely represent what I was seeing. And then I start noticing this light is starting to form. And at first it's like, it's kind of bluish, or there's not really a light. It's just like, it's some color. And then it starts getting a lot brighter, a lot bigger, like really big. And then it gets even, it gets into this pearly color. So this visual that I have is almost like one step before the final stage that I see, where when I see it and it's like this beautiful pearly color. And so, of course, as I'm watching this, I have this enormous feeling of awe, of complete awe, because I've never seen something like this before. And I'm just in shock. And what I think at that moment is that is source energy. So I have more detail on this on my other video, which I'll link here. But it wasn't just seeing the light. It was like the after effect of like everything that happened after. I was just like a completely different person. My energy completely changed since that point forward. So fast forward to the present moment. A couple days ago, I was talking to my coach about this light, and she was like, I wonder if this thing that you did, maybe it's some memory that you had from a past life, and then maybe at that point your subconscious just brought it forward. And I was like, maybe it was a channeling. So at this point, it's funny because it's 2 years later, but I decided to do some research and then try to find out if there's any information about this thing, because I've studied yoga. I mean, yoga, obviously it's never ending. There's millions of scriptures from the ancient yogis, but just from my Google research, I wasn't able to find anything that really mentions this, except for one article that says that this originates from Hindu meditation practices, and that it's also found on some hypnotism books and a couple others. So I'm not really able to trace this article all the way back to the source, but there is a lot of information on the spiritual eye, which is also your third eye, which is also your sixth chakra. And what the yogis say is that your third eye is also the seat of your spiritual awakening, and that actually seeing the light during meditation is your first introduction to God. What they say is that if you center all of your energy there, enlightenment can occur. If you follow other meditation teachers, you've done maybe courses around this, a lot of them will say that you should roll your eyes back to kind of help you get into these deeper states of consciousness and meditation. So there are actually yogic scriptures that talk about this, and they really go in depth about this technique. That's not what I'm going to do for this video. I'll probably do a separate video about that, because I want to get detailed about that specifically. But in summary, it's about how you can trigger seeing this light by focusing on your third eye and basically looking upwards rather than rolling your eyes back. But there's some prepping that you need to do, so because otherwise you can get headaches and stuff. But I mean, you can still start practicing, and really the more you focus on your third eye, even as you're going about your daily activities, the higher your consciousness will become. But okay, let's go back to the technique that I was talking about. So what I want you to do is just sit down in meditation, ground yourself, focus on your breathing, the usual stuff. If you haven't meditated before, you can grab my 5-minute meditation to help you kind of settle your mind. That will be in the description. So once you feel like your mind is settled, you're focusing on your breath, and when you're feeling yourself going deeper and deeper, and really just feel it. Like if you're doing my 5-minute meditation, let it end and then just stay there. Let your body tell you when it's ready. And when you feel like you're ready, I want you to grab your hands and put your fingers out like this. I'm going to take off my rings because that would hurt my eyeballs. So I want you to grab your fingers like this. I don't want you to press like this. I tried it and it didn't work. So grab it like this. I don't know why. Again, this might be a channeling, so we'll give it a try. And then just really lightly press on your eyes. Really lightly. And then see what comes up. And I want you to hold. You're going to have to hold for a little while, because the way I experienced it was, as I said, I started seeing some things and kind of going into this sort of immersive experience. I swear, it's like I was on psychedelics. And that the visions can get so clear sometimes. Sometimes it's not very clear. Sometimes it's like full on geometry. And sometimes the light is also way more clear than it is in other times. So I want you to hold it and see what comes up. Just let it be. Don't press too hard. This is not going to hurt you. It's just a little light press, and just observe. Now, what is super interesting as I was doing research about this is that I found these visuals that look exactly like the light that I saw. It's not just the ring, but actually the little light inside of it. I wanted to show you some of the drawings that I did at the Dispenza retreat so that you can see it's really so funny, because it's the same thing. I mean, as I said, I didn't just see the light. I saw a bunch of other stuff that would come up. But if you see, I always had that light and a little something inside. Generally, there was a little something inside, but sometimes I thought it was a little person, you know? I guess in this moment, I thought it was a cat. But it was always the same kind of vibe. Like in other drawings, I have like little angels, but you get me. It's kind of like the same thing. And sometimes I would see, I thought it was a little person, so I would just draw it like that. And now from these drawings that I'm seeing, it's a little like, anyway, I think stars look like people, no, right? But anyway, you get me. It was always this little shining little sparkle thing, and sometimes it would take different forms. So super cool to be doing this research that I had never learned about any of this. I didn't learn any of this during my yoga teacher training. And I just kind of saw that in my visions, and then I'm seeing on the internet that that's the third eye. And what's even cooler, as I was finding out more about this, is that what the yogis say is that apparently seeing the star is the gateway through which consciousness must pass to attain oneness with spirit. And this is what I said before, it's basically enlightenment. So the very advanced yogis and meditators have been able to access through this light. I have not. I have only seen it. Now that I know this, I'm like, okay, well, how do I get there? I guess I'll find out, but I plan to. But I will have to meditate for many, many more hours to be able to attain that mastery. And something really cool that I found through my research was that the autobiography of a yogi mentions the spiritual eye, or the third eye. So let me read you this passage. It says, "If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light." Long concentration on the liberating spiritual eye has enabled the yogi to destroy all illusions concerning matter and its gravitational weight. He sees the universe as the Lord created it, an essentially undifferentiated mass of light. So super cool. The fact that it says that when you see the single eye, the single spiritual eye, and then your whole body becomes light, that just spoke to me as how I perceived this. When I saw that light, then I was light. I was light. I was love. I also felt lighter, as if all of my worries and all the weight of resentment or sadness had been lifted off of my body. That is literally how I feel. Isn't it interesting that light, like actual light and feeling light kind of go together? It's like, I just thought of that. So essentially, yogis are talking about penetrating this light as reaching super consciousness. So I think it would be so cool if we can get there, but of course, it will take practice. So that is why I would love for you guys to try it and let me know. Please come back to the video and let me know in the comments if you experience something similar, if not what you experience. My coach told me that she saw a similar light. So it's not just me, I guess. I mean, from doing this technique, super important when you're doing it. Please don't, be pressing really hard and be like, I want to trigger the light. Because sometimes, well, a lot of times, expectations are the things that ruin us, ruin everything for us. So just surrender, and whatever shows up for you is probably what's right for you. Maybe you never see the light, and that's fine too. People generally will have different psychic abilities. Some people are more auditory. Some people just have the knowing, the claircognizance of just knowing things out of nowhere. I've always been a visual person. Like, I'm a designer, I'm an artist. Like, the visual stuff has always been my thing. So I'm not surprised that I got to see the light, and not just the light, but I got to see visions. And generally when I meditate, I still see patterns and stuff. And for those people that are gonna come and comment, because a lot of people already did on my previous video, and they thought I was a fake, and that one said that I just hit a nerve and that's why I saw the light. I mean, sure, maybe, but I didn't just see a light. It was seeing the light followed by waking up at 3 a.m. with my body completely full of energy, like electrified, to the point that I could hear the energy. And then the next day waking up euphoric and completely full of love, completely full of energy. And this feeling that lasted me 2 months, at least 2 months. It's just so hard to explain, because it's like somebody gave me a drug to feel amazing, to feel invincible, that lasted me for 2 months. And I swear I didn't take any drugs. It was all just from the moment, literally from the moment that I had this meditation. So it's not just the light. It's like everything that came with it. It was the light followed by visions, followed by an increased intuition, followed by feeling the best physically and mentally that I've ever felt in my life. And honestly, something that I'll tell you that was even crazier was that when I came back from the retreat, at that point, last year, I was taking Adderall. You might have seen my previous, a couple of videos back that I stopped about 2 months ago. And I remember coming back from the retreat, and then I could no longer feel it, because my body was so aligned that it's like external things weren't affecting me anymore, because I didn't need anything to concentrate, because I was already aligned with my body. So it's like I would take it, I was like, why don't I feel this? Super weird, right? Like, for like 2 weeks, I didn't feel the Adderall. Like, I would take it and I'd be like, it's not working. But I also didn't feel like I needed it to concentrate, because I could already concentrate. You know what I mean? So it's like all these little things that, honestly, there were so many that it's going to be hard to remember them all. So again, it's not just the light. It's like, at the end of the day, it's like, it's your connection to God, to this higher dimension. That's the point. So even if you don't see the light, don't be like, oh, I'm not getting it. It's more about deepening your practice and being able to access these deeper states of consciousness to ultimately access God or the divine. So that is it for today. If you try this, please come back to this video and let me know what you experienced and what you saw and how it felt, because it's also about how you feel. I felt this tremendous peace within me. So that is also amazing. Even if you don't see anything, it might just feel like an amazing meditation. And then that's also a success. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, I recommend you watch my other video from the Dispenza retreat, where I talk more about my whole experience of the retreat and seeing this light. And I will see you next week. Bye bye.